Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to try out some new Dalula Company dye colors. Amanda sent me about 10 colors, and some of them are pretty new and some of them I think have been out for just a little while. So I'm going to start out today by trying Mystic Heather and Purple Ice. So let's start out with Mystic Heather. And for these two colors, I'm going to try them on some 100% cotton kitchen towels. They're called flour sack towels, and they're 28 by 28 inches. I went ahead and pre-washed the towels and then dunked them in some soda ash solution to soak, but it's really cold outside, so I went ahead and just wrung these towels out by hand. I didn't use my Panda spin dryer. So they're a little bit more damp than normal. Whenever I'm dyeing these towels, I like to experiment a little bit, so I'm going to kind of just freestyle it when it comes to some of the designs I'm going to do. For this towel, I'm going to start by folding it in half. Then I want to make some really large accordion folds, so I'm going to take each side of the towel and fold it one more time. I wasn't happy with the way my accordion folds turned out, so I went ahead and folded it again. Now that I have this part of the towel accordion folded, I'm going to accordion fold it going the other direction. So I'm going to fold it in half and fold each side back again. Lastly, I'm going to take the towel and I'm going to fold it into a triangle. Whenever you have your folds made, you'll see where it just naturally divides into that two areas. I'm going to fold each part down to make a triangle and then do the same thing one more time. So I'm going to make it into a fairly small triangle. Then to hold the shape of this fold, I'm going to use a couple rubber bands. I went ahead and folded the next towel I'm going to do at the same time, and then several other kitchen towels. So I didn't come back to apply the dye to this towel until the next day. It was still damp though, because I wrung it out by hand. It still had quite a bit of soda ash in it and was still pretty damp the next day. So for this first towel, I'm going to use Mystic Heather. And for my setup, I'm going to take a plastic container, which I purchased from the Dollar Tree, and place a small wire basket down in the bottom. I'm placing the basket upside down with a larger wire basket on top. I'm going to place the kitchen towel down inside with the main point facing the bottom of the container. Now I need to find some way to keep the kitchen towel from falling over inside this container. So to do that, I'm going to place a couple of empty dye bottles down beside the kitchen towel, and I'm going to take a piece of plastic cutting board, which I purchased also from the dollar store, cut it into a strip. Then I'm going to fold that strip in half and kind of press it in between the dye bottles and the kitchen towel. I know it's kind of a wacky setup, but you can just use whatever you have to make sure you can keep your towel standing upright and have a place to put your ice. I'm going to apply the Mystic Heather to the folds that you see on top. I'm going to add a little bit of additional dry soda ash, and then I'm going to add on some ice cubes. And for this design, I think it's easier for me to use ice cubes, which I make in some silicone ice molds. I just think they fit on top a little bit better and they don't fall off quite as easily on this particular fold. Once I have the ice on top of the fold, I'm going to go ahead and place this towel aside and allow the ice to melt. After all the ice had melted, I came back and I checked the towel, and the dye had gone through fairly well. There was still a little bit of dye left sitting on top, but I did have a lot of white right down at that portion of the fold that was at the very bottom, so the bottom of the triangle. I decided I could either just add some more ice, or I could go ahead and add a little bit more dye, and that's what I decided to do. So I added just a little bit more dye on top, some more soda ash, and more ice. Then I placed it aside and allowed the ice to melt again. After the ice melted this time, I just went ahead and left the towel alone. I actually took the towel and I placed it down inside of a container, put the lid on the container, and allowed it to process that way. Like I mentioned, it was really, really cold here the week that I did these towels, so I wanted to make sure they got warm enough inside the container. And I actually left this towel for probably about 3 days before I went ahead and rinsed it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on our second towel, which is going to be the towel that's done with purple ice. I'm going to start out by folding this towel in half. Then I'm going to accordion fold it like I did the last one, by folding each side down one more time. Then from here I'm going to do more of a traditional flag fold. I'm starting down at one end. I'm going to grab one corner of the towel and fold it up to the opposite side of the towel. Then pinch that new seam. Fold the triangle down and turn the towel over. I'm going to turn the towel back over, grab that corner, fold it up to the opposite side, and continue this process. Initially, I was going to leave the fold this size, but then I decided against it, and I went ahead and folded each side one more time to make it a smaller triangle. If I would have left the triangle a little bit larger, I would have had to have adjusted the process or the setup that I'm using to dye these triangular shaped towels. Okay, so here's my color swatch for the purple ice that I've made, and I'm going to use basically the same setup that I used on the last towel. I'm placing that main point facing the container or facing down in the container, and I'm going to use the rest of the items that I used to keep this towel stabilized. I'm also going to apply the dye in the same way and use the same kind of ice cubes on top. For this towel, after I added the first layer of ice, it looked like the dye had gone through pretty well, so I didn't have to come back and add more dye to this one. I just went ahead after the ice melted, placed it down inside of a container, and allowed it to process. I left this one for about the same 3 days as I did the last towel. Okay, so to rinse the towels, I took each one of them to my utility sink and I started rinsing them in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I warmed the water up to hot, untied the towels, and continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Instead of just rinsing for a really long time, I went ahead and ran some hot water in my utility sink, added a little bit of Blue Dawn dish detergent to the water, placed the towels inside, and allowed them to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I put each of the towels into my washing machine and washed them using a hot water cycle, along with a little bit of Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent. The towel that I'm rinsing right now is the Mystic Heather, and if you'll notice, the colors that are coming out of the towel are purples, and I have quite a bit of purple in this towel. That's going to be important later on. This is the second towel, and that is the Purple Ice towel. I'm going to go ahead and rinse it the same exact way as I did the Mystic Heather towel, and after I wash, dry, and iron the towels, here's what they look like. Okay, so here's the first towel, which was done with the Mystic Heather. And remember before I rinsed the towel and while I was rinsing the towel, how much purple there was? Well, most of my purple disappeared. Now, not all of it disappeared. I do still have purple left, but green seems to be the more primary color on this particular towel. So let me read to you the description of this color out on the Dalula Company website, which, by the way, I placed a link to the website down below this video in the description. This is what the website says. It says, Mystic Heather is a moody, cool color combination that reminds me just a little bit of a heather flower plant. Colors can range from a cool grape, lavender, dark grays, purples, light grays, a range of orangish yellows, different shades of moody greens, some light greenish blues, and some brownish gray tones. It certainly has a range of moody mystery to it. And I think this is a perfect description for this color. I do have some of the grays and definitely have the greens. I have some hints of yellow and I do have purples. The purples I'm getting though are more of a darker purple, almost like an eggplant color. I definitely think this is a moody color and I do think it's a really pretty color. Lots of cool color splits. Okay, so let's move on to the Purple Ice color. What do you think about this color? I think this one is really pretty too. According to the website, it says Purple Ice showcases a vibrant array of purple shades, along with various grayish hues, deep purplish black, pinks, mauves, bright golden yellow accents, and a stunning icy blue. This dye is known for its strong splitting characteristics, making it an exciting addition to any project for a standout effect. I definitely think that this one is a great color splitter, and I think the color splits are really pretty. I got lots of purple, lots of blue, some of the mauves, and a little bit of the gray. I do have a few little hints of like green and maybe some of that golden yellow color on the lines, just a couple little hints of those colors. Like I said, I think this one is a really pretty color. Okay, so I've put them side by side. And even though I did pretty much a flag type Shibori inspired fold for both of these, I folded my flag a little bit differently. And I can definitely tell the difference in the design. Even though I have pretty much the same amount of squares, I have 16 squares on each one of the towels. I think that the Mystic Heather towel just looks a little more refined. So the squares look a little bit more defined than the Purple Ice towel. I like the way the dye moved within each one of those squares on the Purple Ice towel a little bit better, but I like the definite lines on the Mystic Heather towel. So if you're going to kind of experiment a little bit with doing some of these Shibori type folds, I think that these kitchen towels are great for that because they're thin enough that the dye moves pretty well. You don't have to use a ton of dye, but you can also work with some designs that are maybe a little more defined like this, because a t-shirt is kind of a weird shape. When you're working with these towels, because they are square, it's easier to do some of these more geometric designs. I think that's probably a good term for it. So what do you think about these two new colors? I like both of them. I think they're both really pretty. I like the purpley hues mixed with that green on the Mystic Heather, and then that bright pop of ice blue with the Purple Ice is really cool. I like that mixed with the purple as well. But what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. I'm going to try these colors on t-shirts. I made my color swatches, and then I've been experimenting with these colors on kitchen towels just to kind of get a feel for them in a little bit larger form. Which, by the way, if you haven't ever heard of Dalula Company, it's owned by Amanda. She mixes the dyes specifically for ice dyeing. So she keeps in mind cool color splits, the way that the dye is going to move on the fabric. She mixes some really pretty colors, and she's got quite a few out on her website. Like I said before, I left a link to her website down below this video in the description. Because she is a small business, she mixes all the dyes by herself. And so between ordering the dye and her sending it out, it can be about 3 weeks. So just kind of expect to have maybe a little bit of a wait, but I personally think it's worth it because I think her colors are really pretty. So if you've enjoyed watching the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.